when I'm streaming, I'm not sure if it is showing up. Oh, great. I think we're live. Let me just see. It says live, but I can't really see at the screen. Okay, there we go. Oh gosh, yeah, we're back. Okay, great. So here are the questions. I actually started the live stream at 7, and I went on typing, and I realized that it wouldn't broadcast, so I had to start again. Funny how that works. But okay, I really was supposed to start at 7, but the time was set. Anyway, that's alright. Let's see the question for today. Nowadays, the differences between countries are becoming less evident because people follow the same media. Do the advantages of this trend outweigh the disadvantages? This again is, a very standard layout for an advantage-disadvantage essay. This is something you would commonly see. They want you to talk about both things, and then they also want you to express your opinion. Although it doesn't directly say that, express your opinion, it's clear because they're asking you, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, right? So they want you to kind of compare the two. But obviously, you can't make your decision at the end of your essay. You have to have made up your mind already. And so that's why you'll notice that I prefer writing my ideas down beforehand, before I even start the introduction. So I have a solid, so that I know for sure exactly what it is that I support and what it is that I don't support, right? So first things first, I'm going to need to think about whether I think this is good or whether I think this is bad. And I think I'm going to go ahead with the largely disadvantageous side because I know that it does cause problems. Like, yeah, it's convenient, but is it good? For every culture and country across the world, not so much. It can have some really serious issues, long-ranging effects. It might not seem that way in the beginning, but I'll show you how exactly. And that's the beauty of an essay. You're really kind of letting this other person, which is of course just the examiner, have a look at your thoughts and your ideas and your opinions. But don't worry, you're not being judged on what you're saying. There is no marking criteria that says, okay, let's judge this person's opinion. So it doesn't matter what you write, okay, as long as it's high quality, it's good, it's easy to understand, it's simple, because essay writing should never be complicated. So first I need to write down, okay, so I'm going to go ahead with disadvantages. I mean, I think it's largely disadvantages. This is my weak opinion, right? And this is going to be my strong opinion, right? When you write an advantage-disadvantage essay, you're not just going to talk about the benefits and drawbacks. You also have to, extend that viewpoint, show which side you kind of prefer, right? Advantage-disadvantage essays are written in a fashion that's very, very similar to discussion essays, at least the way I teach them. So I'm going to have to form my main idea sentence first. Once you get that out of the way, it's going to be easier. And it allows you the opportunity to think about what it is that you want to express. So I would probably say that, I mean, it does have some benefits, obviously. So, this is widespread homogeneity in media consumption patterns, I think could be. Okay, I mean, yeah, this looks kind of complex, but you don't have to write like this. Obviously, I'm just trying to offer, an ideal. People who get a band 7, 7.5, obviously don't have to, use such complex terminology. But it's really not complex. It's just that the words are uncommon, right? It's a simple enough idea to understand if you know what the words mean, right? It's more precise that way. But if you're at, let's say, a B1 or a B2 level, it might look like, oh, that's a very, uncommon word. It looks like a complex, structure, but it's really not. It's not difficult. It's just more precise. But the funny thing is, when using precise language, like what you would use, let's say if you were writing, a very academic text, obviously essays are academic, is it might look like, oh, that's all this, all these words and stuff. They might look a little bit complex, but they're really not. They're actually more precise that way. So I'd say this widespread homogeneity in media consumption patterns could present some benefits. Might present, what's this? A few benefits. Keep it very simple. You don't have to write something that's huge and long-winded. No need for that whatsoever. And then I'm going to have my supporting ideas. First, I need to write my sentence here. I'm going to write my other sentence as well. And I have to start with the word however, right? Because I'm going to, this next body paragraph, it's talking about something else entirely. So you have to tell your audience that, hey, I'm switching to something else now. Otherwise, your audience is going to be confused. And you don't want them to be confused, because if the examiner gets confused about what it is that you're writing, then obviously that's not a good sign for your score. So what can I say? This practice, I think, is responsible for many social and cultural issues. So this for a wide range of, I'll say this practice was responsible for a sharp increase in a wide range of social and cultural issues. There you go. And then I'm going to have to write my supporting ideas. So what can I say in here? How do I support this? How do I explain this? A supporting idea just has to explain the main idea. So I could say, let's first talk about the advantages, right? So what kind of benefits might you possibly have if everybody around the globe consumes the same kind of media? It will be easier for people to understand each other, like where they're coming from. I mean, because the media is being shared and everybody kind of maybe has the same behavior patterns, or they might use the same terminology. So easier for people to understand each other. And how else is it beneficial? Let's say possibly that there's often a common language, so they can find it easier to form bonds with others. Or maybe you can simply say common language. Obviously, it's good for trade and commerce, because people it helps to spread language, right? Because let's say there's this popular TV show or whatever that most people around the world watch. So obviously the language is going to be a common language. Maybe you'll have, even if you watch something like a K-drama or something, it'll normally have subtitles in English, or maybe it will be dubbed in English, right? So the language is common. I don't know if the good for trade and commerce thing is, because obviously people are going to learn a language when they're going to think that, oh, this if I learn, for example, English, the biggest example by far, why did English become what it is today? Largely due to culture and the exposure of it through media. So yeah, it could be good for individual people. I might change that. Maybe you could even say that it's easier for people to connect with each other. But then I've already said understand each other, so there's kind of an overlap, so I'm gonna let that one go. And the last one could be that people can understand each other's way of life. And like where they come from and their events across the globe. Like what's the life like for somebody who lives here and there and so on. And then we talk about the disadvantages. I think this is a major one. There's been some concerns about how national identity in many places has been eroding due to media culture. I think it's also problematic that young people might get the wrong type of ideas. about what life is like. Let's say you watch a TV show and there's, drug consumption or, illegal activities and things like that, and they're glamorized. Obviously, there is, it's interesting to think that all the production of all this media happens in a few places across the world, but the consumption happens worldwide. So there's a great risk of a fixed narrative being spread, because I mean the power is in the hands of very few people, right? Um, there are some people who are forming these stories and TV shows and movies, and they all, you know, it's strange that they have this sphere of influence. Like Amazon recently bought, I think, Metro Goldwyn Mayer. So that's obviously concerning, because I mean, why is power, centralized in so few hands? It might seem pretty boring to you, but it makes for really good writing. So let's see. Oh, I haven't even finished my previous one. Yeah, no, that's fine. Young people might get the wrong ideas, Uh, um, and great ways for some people controlling, um, the media production. I'll explain this in a while. But first, I'm going to write my introduction. And so I'm going to start with a background statement. What should my background statement be like? If you watch these other videos, it should be pretty, not bland, but general, broad enough to get the message across that, hey, this is what my essay is about, this is what the theme is, or this is what the topic is. So don't write something overly complicated, all right? I would say just keep it to one sentence, but then the sentence should be, it shouldn't be a tiny, like 10-word sentence, okay? So let's see. Differences between countries are becoming less evident because people follow the same media. I could say that advances in technology, right? Well, not just cable and internet, but even like devices, like hardware, not just the software, but even this. But I think this is fine. Advances in cable and technology um, have led to a change in people's media consumption patterns. With more and more people um, you see how, I mean, you can connect with anybody across the globe. Let's say you have this TV show that you really like, right? So, I mean, you're having the same experiences, right? So that's pretty interesting. We could say that, let's see, is my sentence okay? Advances in cable and internet technology. I don't know, maybe not just this. Maybe I'll just delete this. Advances in technology have led to a change in people's media consumption patterns, with more and more people across the globe sharing experiences and interests worldwide. I've already said across the globe, so why should I say worldwide once more? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, it's good enough, although I'm not very satisfied with it. I don't know why. It doesn't look so good. I mean, I could do better. Advances in technology have led to a change in people's media consumption patterns. I could say over the past century, or probably over the past couple of decades, with more and more people sharing experiences and interests. Yeah. And then I'm gonna write this statement. I'm going to bring both of these opposing viewpoints together. They're not viewpoints, really, they're just sides. So While it may initially seem innocuous, and even, I mean, it might even seem perfectly fine. It might even be considered a good thing. People are like happy that, oh, we get, access to so much stuff, that there's no limits on what we can do. It might not be. It might not be as inoffensive as we would think. So, while it may initially seem innocuous and even progressive, it actually presents some very real threats that cannot be ignored. And you'll notice I haven't used the word like, some people think, some other people think, or benefits, or drawbacks, or disadvantages. You don't need to. You might think like, oh, but if I don't use these words, how is the other person going to know whether my essay is an advantage, disadvantage essay? Don't worry, they will, because the message is pretty clear here. If you see this last one, while it may initially seem innocuous, like, completely innocent, perfectly fine, and even progress, even a good thing, even a sign of good times and progress, it actually presents some very real issues that you cannot ignore, right? I'm not sure if there's an issue with my live stream. It looks like there is, because I can see it's like buffering. I'm so sorry about that. I have no idea why that's happening. Okay. Anyway, I'll just, troop on ahead. So I'm done with my introduction, but I'm going to have to go on to body paragraph 1. I'm just going to copy the main idea sentence here. No change there. Of course, if you're handwriting, you're going to have a slightly different, method of doing this, but it'll largely be the same. I mean, you can just, handwrite your main idea sentence at the top of your sheet and just, write the same thing again. It'll barely take you a minute, but it's good to have it all planned out. Now I can see the quality is really low. I don't know why. Is it 144p for everybody else in the chat as well? If you could just comment and let me know, that'd be great. Anyway, let's continue with the first body paragraph. So, I present a few benefits. Let's see. The first one is, oh, I haven't added transitions, but I never do that for myself because I'm good with it. But I recommend everybody to add transitions at this stage. Make sure that when you generated your supporting ideas, you also added your transitions, okay? And you should even look at rearranging a body part. I mean, your supporting ideas. I haven't done that. I should. So let me do that here. Easier for people to understand. I think this is probably the most important thing because, yep, that's much, much better now. You see how it's important to even arrange your supporting ideas? It's not enough to just have high quality ideas. You can always do better. Even if you're already pretty good, even if you're already getting, let's say, a band 7 in writing, there is always room for improvement, right? And then the next one, eroding. I think this is probably the biggest concern. This is also a bit of a concern, but I think it's more important to me anyway that some people get to control what everybody gets to, I mean, they tell you have this, you have choices, but you actually don't because it's all the same thing, right? It's the illusion of choice that they present to you. Does that sound extremely philosophical? Oh, sorry about that. Okay, let's see. And you'll notice that I probably use the same transitions over and over, not because I'm not creative or unoriginal, but because these are very simple and they work. So I'm presenting this with the idea that you could also use these. I feel like there's a lag in my live stream. I don't know why. Okay, well, yay, it's back. Looks like the quality is better now. Okay, so this is because let's see, shared experiences. Well, I don't want to say shared experiences again, but it's kind of a major issue. Well, not an issue. I mean, it's a major point to make that, no matter where you are, who you are, you have all these, like TV shows that you like, and you go online and you find, like, somebody's commenting on it and you join in, right? It connects people worldwide, right? But my first idea is about a common language. So this can help, this is because most TV, let's not use TV, let's use television. So most television shows and movies Well, not just shows and movies, even radio for that matter, because media, right? It doesn't have to be a one-sided thing. It can be newspapers, magazines, podcasts, radio, right? So, because most television shows, or maybe I can say most forms of media, at least the most popular forms of media, right? Name one newspaper. The first one that comes to mind will probably be something like the Telegraph or the Daily Mail or the New York Times, and they're all in English, aren't they? So the most popular forms of media. Sure, I'm sure that whatever country you're from, you were watching from, you probably have your own local newspapers, but they're not popular across the world, are they? So that's the point. This is because most popular forms of media including but not limited to television shows, newspapers, radio channels, and movies are not every single one, but most are, right? Most popular forms of media, including but not limited to television shows, newspapers, radio channels, and movies, are broadcast in, I don't want to directly say English, right? Or maybe I will. What's the big deal? Are broadcast in English. There we go. Yep, looks good. I still have to explain this idea, broadcast English, which makes it easy for people to learn the language and connect with a wide range. Oh my God, this is going to be another 400-word essay. I can just feel it. Oh, I've said good for trade and commerce. Okay. Range of people for education. Well, I mean, just in life, you don't have to stick. See, your supporting ideas are not set in stone, so don't worry about, oh, but what if I change? That's fine. Nobody cares. No one's going to see your supporting ideas. Only you can. So I guess then there's this overlap because then it's easier for people. But I mean, understand where the other person is coming from. I'll explain in a while. So let me just read my sentence once more because you never know. You can make mistakes. Anybody can make mistakes, right? It's because the most popular forms of media, including but not limited to television shows, newspapers, which makes it easy for people to learn the language and connect with people. Got to change that. Easy for people to learn the language and connect with others across the globe. I can also say that this in turn, my ideas are changing slightly because that's just, you see, that can happen. That's very natural. You might suddenly discover a link, and here I have it. So you watch the same TV shows, the newspapers, right? You connect, you learn the language, you get exposure to this, and exposure to something is what's important when you're learning a language. And this makes it easier for people to understand each other, right? So this in turn makes it easy for people to understand each other regardless of their cultural, social, financial, each other regardless of their cultural, social, what other, and religious barriers. Oh, sorry, backgrounds. As a common language, or, well, I mean, it seems more of a language thing now. That's a bit weird. As the media they consume reflects, has the same, I mean, you watch the same TV shows, people act the same way, they have the same lifestyles overall, right? I mean, there's many overlaps, just, start up your television or whatever streaming service you use and just like blind look on anything, you'll probably find the same story everywhere. So this in turn makes it easy for people to understand each other regardless of their cultural, social, economic, and religious backgrounds, as the media they consume largely revolves around the same themes. And then the last one. I can potentially say as a consequence, they understand, yeah, due to this, I've already said, oh, I don't want to repeat that again. Not because it's wrong, just because I want to show I can do better. Your only competition is you, as they say. Due to this, let's say, what do we call it? It's not feedback. Due to this, they are able to understand each other's, empathize with each other's way of life. Oh, I want to use the word harmony. Let me just write it down so I don't forget it. Due to this, they're able to empathize with each other's way of life, and you get to really kind of see that, oh, this person's culture is like this, and there can be many important differences, right? So it leads to greater harmony. Due to this, they're able to empathize with each other's way of life, and which results in greater cultural harmony, peace, and progress in the world. I don't know, progress kind of weird to put in there. Of various nations. And then, therefore, if in a world where people are connected by the media they consume or the entertainment, well, it doesn't have to be entertainment, it can be anything. In a world where people are connected by the media they consume, there is less friction. There's less friction in a world. I don't know. That's fine. There we go. Alright, then my next main idea sentence. However, this practice is responsible for a sharp increase in a wide range of socio-cultural issues. I can probably just use that. It's a good adjective. I'm gonna say, most importantly, there have been, lately there have been rising concerns about the erosion of national and cultural identities in many nations across, many nations. I don't have to say worldwide, across the globe. There's really no need to do any of that. Let's see, what else? What else can I write here? There have been rising concerns about the erosion of national and cultural identities in many nations because the youth have adopted the ways of life depicted in these, TV shows and movies. Foregoing their own culture and customs. This is gonna be a huge sentence. Maybe, no, because I'm talking about the youth, right? I think it's a better idea if I have this as number 2, right? Because you know what they say, young people are the future, so that's gonna be important. Let's see. I think I can just delete lately. Most importantly, there have been rising concerns about the erosion of national and cultural identities I mean, obviously, national identity in nations, that just sounds silly. The erosion of national and cultural identities in many regions, because the youth have adopted the ways of life depicted in these television shows and movies, foregoing their own cultures and customs. Not only does this lead to, well, they basically abandon their culture, and the culture wouldn't propagate, right? Not only does this carry the risk of that culture dying out, but uh, it also presents another issue, that of young people being exposed to the wrong ideals or behaviors, right? Let's see, maybe or otherwise harmful such as the consumption of drugs. Well, I mean, they glamorize it a lot, right? Or participation in crime. Not only does this carry the risk of the culture dying out, dying out, but it also presents another issue, that of young people being exposed to illicit or otherwise harmful behaviors, as these are often glorified in popular television programs. Or I can just say programs. There we go. And the last one now will be about some people controlling media production. It is well known. I mean, maybe I shouldn't make a statement like that, because I mean, you don't want to say, oh, everybody knows, or it's obvious, because you don't want to. I mean, if it is so obvious, then why are you writing about it, right? So, moreover, well, let's see, the production and manufacture, well, not manufacture, but, producing, directing, all these things, the production of these, let's say, media types, or the production of these shows and movies, magazines and the like, are strongly controlled by a few elite people and organizations who may have, who have their own agenda, in terms of, like, this is what we want people to believe, this is what we want people to act like, this is what we want people to be doing. It can be a way of controlling people's ideas, or influencing them anyway, because it's mostly, I mean, young people that get influenced, right? Have their own agenda behind, popularizing, or who stand to benefit from more and more people adopting, being influenced by, and adopting, the behaviors that they promote. Whether it's, this is what you should do with your life, this is the kind of product you should consume, this is what you should buy, this is what you should do, and so on, right? Let's see. Let me read that again. The production of these shows, movies, magazines, and the like are strongly controlled by a few elite people and organizations who stand to benefit from more and more people being influenced by and adopting the behaviors that they promote. I mean, in terms of financial gain, right? And in terms of other things as well. There's many conspiracy theories. I'll leave that for now. Then I have to write my last sentence. I'm gonna start with something like this. Let's see. This uncontrolled, you know, let's see. This sharing such media. There has to be some curves on this. So, the uncontrolled consumption and broadcast is a worrying trend. I think it's concerning. And finally, we're going to write our conclusion. Conclusion, it's clear. It's evident that although, oh yeah, my body paragraphs are lopsided, and as you know, that really annoys me. So I'm gonna go and fix that. I think I'll fix it now, in fact. Actually, I don't know why the font size, sorry, this just annoys me. There you go. This is quite large. I'm gonna have to change this because I don't like it. So let's see. Most importantly, there have been rising concerns. We can say there are rising concerns about the erosion of national and cultural identities because the youth have adopted the ways of life depicted in these television shows, ways foregoing their own culture and customs. Dying out, but it also presents another issue of, but it also is problematic because young people, impressionable young people, are exposed. There we go. It's still lopsided. The production of these shows are production is from influencing people and making them adopt the behaviors that they promote. There we go. Now it's much better. Looks nicer. So although the freedom of choice that people nowadays have in choosing what kind of media they want to consume. Again, the sentence is going to change. I'm just kind of letting it all out. So in conclusion, it is evident that although the freedom of choice that people nowadays have in choosing what kind of media they want to consume might, seem that's obviously a good thing. More choice is good, right? Might seem to be a positive thing. It is merely an illusion. You get the idea that you have choice. But tell me, when was the last time that you watched a TV show that was really original? Most TV shows are going to be copies of each other. It's the same. It's the illusion of choice. But I think maybe that might be a bit too much for this. So I'm going to just forego that. I'm going to try and keep it simple. It is... it's very underhanded. It's not very obvious how the damage occurs because it takes time to develop, right? So it might seem to be a positive thing. It undermines and destroys many cultures and what else can we say? Societies in an underhanded and very difficult to detect way. And should be, prevented from happening and should be dealt with carefully. There we go. Okay, this is a bit too big, but anyway, that's all. That's just the way I write. It always ends up being much larger than it should be. but that's okay. That's not wrong, okay? Right, so in conclusion, it's evident that all of the freedom of choice that people nowadays seem to have in choosing what kind of media they want to consume might seem to be a positive thing. It undermines and destroys many cultures and societies in an underhanded way and should be dealt with carefully. If we allow those in power to influence us, it seems, oh gosh, I'm gonna delete that because it seems very, very conspiratorial. If we allow this to thrive, we would soon lose the beauty and I mean, just think about the last time you went someplace on vacation. Wasn't it exciting just precisely because it was so different? Imagine if every single place around the world was the same. Wouldn't that be really boring? Right? So that's kind of the point. We would soon lose the beauty and unique we'd soon lose the beauty and uniqueness of the varied cultures of the world. Because every place is the same, every place, believes the same things and does the same things. Where's the fun in that, right? So let's take it from the top, advances. So here's your introduction, right? There we go. We've got body paragraph 1 here. Then you've got body paragraph 2 here. And you can always just, pause the screen if you want to look. And here's the last one. Now let's check the total word count. How long is this? This is, okay, it's 401. That's all right. I mean, by now you should know that's just how I do things. Okay, there we go. All right, that was pretty good. I really enjoyed this essay. I mean, I enjoy writing in general. So if you've got any ideas for any questions that you would like me to write an essay for next week, you can always just, drop a comment in the chat box, or you can even just message me. I'm on Facebook. You can text me. That would also be cool. All right, well, I'll see you next week with a brand new essay, and I'm also going live on Saturday with a new speaking test. See you next time. Bye-bye.